Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hump Day edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. And it's also NFL Draft Eve. And joining me today, we've got Tegan Brown in Myrtle Beach, Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston. And so a lot of guys around the country and maybe even around the world excited about what's going to happen tomorrow when they start calling out the names in the first round of the NFL Draft. It is a momentous occasion for everyone playing college football because either you're aspiring to be in that position or you're dreaming of what it would be like, even though you know you don't have a shot of ever playing professional football. And we have a couple of members of the Carolina Panthers reliving their own draft experiences.
Shoot, I mean, I guess there was a lot of uncertainty for me. People had me as early as top 10, and then some people had me early second round. So, uh, I was just kind of going in there open-minded, not really worried about what other people was thinking, and kind of like the advice I gave in the first question, just kind of, I was going to end up where I belong, and I was here. I'm just super grateful, super blessed to be here, man. I'm just looking forward to, continuing what we got going on over here.
Yeah, just to enjoy it. Obviously everyone has, different hopes and different outcomes that are gonna come, this week. But however it is, it's definitely gonna be a time that you remember for the rest of your life. Just to enjoy it with the people that you're closest with, whoever you choose to be around. And just trust that, wherever it is you're supposed to be, that's, where you'll end up.
Yeah, I think Ted McMillan has some good advice there. Hey, you've got to be open minded because if you go in thinking, oh man, all these people are saying I'm going to be a top 10 draft pick, and when it doesn't happen, oh man, that's a big letdown. But if you go in like, hey, I'm just going to be happy wherever I'm picked, and boom, all of a sudden you're a surprise top 10 pick. So talk about the joy and elation. So, Kevin, what would be some advice you would give to someone who's looking forward to being drafted?
Yeah, I actually had a chance to talk to Monroe Freeling yesterday afternoon, the Georgia offensive lineman from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, here in the Low Country. He's expected to be a first-round pick coming up tomorrow, and the thing we talked about was just kind of the uncertainty that he's got going. You look at mock drafts right now, he's projected to go anywhere from 6th in the first round all the way towards the 25th, 26th pick in that first round. So a lot of places he could go, and he talked about how he's looking at kind of every pick. And, I asked him if he looks at the mock drafts every day, and he said he'd be lying if he didn't. But he tries not to put too much stock on them. But it's hard when you see, your name at number 17 going to Detroit and start thinking, what would I do in Detroit? Where would I live? What would I do for this kind of thing? And or if I go to Cleveland, where do I want to live somewhere close to the stadium, or do I want to live somewhere a little bit farther out and get a bigger house? And, those are all the kind of thoughts that are going through these guys' heads right now as they're a day away from the draft. But I think the biggest thing is just kind of, and Monroe said it to me yesterday, just kind of keep as much of that out as you can and just kind of focus on where you're at and worry about all that other stuff once you hear your name called, Tegan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's all great advice. I think another thing to think about, too, because there are the videos every single year on draft night, the people that these players are surrounding themselves with, just make sure you're surrounding yourselves with the right people, the people that are there to support you, that aren't going to, pressure you into thinking any certain way or, putting in your head like, hey, you're definitely going to be a top 10 or a top 5 or whatever, it may be. So, definitely keep an open mind, keep the right people around you. But it's a super exciting night. I think it's so awesome that you got to talk to him, Kevin, about, his mindset. And yeah, I'm not too surprised that he's been looking at those mock drafts. I think I totally would be too if I was in his position, because curiosity is a big thing here, Rick.
Yeah, and I would caution folks too, like if you really don't know, if you're not sure that you're going to be first round, second round, or even a third round pick, I would maybe scale back my plans of having a party. A few years ago, a USC men's basketball player had a big draft night party, and he goes undrafted. He eventually made it to the league, but just the look of disappointment on his face and family members, you just really felt sorry for the guy.
Yeah, Rick, I actually remember a situation with Bruce Ellington, the former South Carolina receiver and point guard, as well as on the basketball team. He declared for the NFL draft, and his stock was all over the place going into the draft. There were some people who thought he could sneak into the low first round. Some people thought he would go second or third round, and some even beyond that. And he had a party the night of the first round, hoping he would get taken in that first round. I was there for that party, didn't get picked. And like you said, it was a real disappointment for him. Had more people over the Friday for the second and third round, and again, didn't get picked those nights either. So I had to go back for a third day in a row on Saturday. And as I was driving up Saturday afternoon after the draft had already started with the fourth round, I think he was like the 10th pick in the fourth round. So I got there right after he got selected. So, those guys especially are just in a touchy spot where it could go. And, it used to be different when the draft was only 2 rounds, or 2 days, I should say. And you would have, those first 4 or 5 rounds on the first day and the last couple of rounds on the second day. Now it's so spread out. You could go anywhere from, late Thursday night to midway through Saturday. So it's a lot to think about. Hey!
Look who it is.
It's
Out of
magic.
the bullpen. Here comes Ella.
Join the conversation here. Happy to join you guys.
Do
here.
we have
Glad I
Ella's
could step
mic
in
is
for
the
this
question, though.
conversation. Do we have?
I don't know if we have your mic, Ella, but we were just talking all about the NFL draft. We're going to take a quick break, get her mic situated. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We've got Ella on the show. It is the whole gang now here. We are ready to talk about some baseball. I don't know if Coastal Carolina is exactly ready to talk about last night after, that good stretch that we were talking about yesterday compared to the other teams and on Monday as well. But Coastal Carolina hit the road last night to UNCW. They were up 1-0 pretty much the entire game until all of a sudden in the bottom of the ninth, UNCW was able to hit a bunch of singles, get guys on bases, and grab 2 runs to get that walk-off win to end it. So that is the second week in a row that the Chants have lost their midweek game. They lost to Wake Forest last week, and then they won the series against Georgia State over the weekend 2-1, and now the Chants will be back at home to host Texas State. Again, the Chants have not lost a Sun Belt series this year. They've lost 3 Sun Belt games, but they have won every series so far. So that will be an exciting one for the Chants as they get ready to host the Bobcats. Ella, how about Clemson?
Yeah, Tegan, very opposite story over in Tiger Town. Not the season that they expected to have. They are in the bottom 3 of the ACC standings, 6-12 this year. Just very, very abnormal for them, especially after the season that they had last year. But last night was a high. They had a regional rematch against another local team here in the Upstate against USC Upstate. Luke Gaffney went 2 for 4 with a homer and had 5 RBI to lead Clemson to a 7-2 victory over USC Upstate. Now, we talked with head coach Eric Bakich about this win and just about the season that they've had in general. And here's what he had to say about their perspective on how to move forward.
We can't do anything about all the games that, we let slip away, or we let, they had the lead late, or were 1 hit away. There's nothing we can do about that now. All we can do is, control our mindset and how we attack each day, each game, each training session, and I think we're in a really good spot in terms of that. We may not be in a good spot in terms of looking at the conference standings, but it's just we are where we are, and all we can do is move forward, and each new day is a new opportunity, and we can make the most of it.
I definitely enjoyed hearing this perspective and the fact that he answered those questions. I mean, coming off of a win, you don't want to talk about the negative that they have seen this year, but I have such respect for his outlook and for just taking those questions and providing a perspective of what that locker room and what that dugout looks like. I mean, Rick, you've seen a lot of Clemson baseball in your days. Just what do you think about this team? Do you think there is a possibility for them to turn this around? There's just a few weeks left here in the season.
Yeah, but they have time. They do have time. But the problems that they've been having, why they're not having the season that a lot of people expected they could, they've got time to turn it around. But if they don't, then they go into the playoffs, and the expectations are they good enough to make it to Omaha? And you're probably thinking probably not. But I'm not going to give up on Clemson just yet. But they do have to play better. As for the Gamecocks, well, they picked up a midweek win last night. They beat Presbyterian 9-3. Now they're coming off a weekend where they were swept by Mississippi State. They had trouble scoring runs, but last night against PC, they scored in the first 5 innings. And now this weekend, they're going to host Kentucky starting Friday. They are 5-13 in the SEC, so they have 12 more conference games. If they can win one more game, that would tie their same number of wins that they had last year in conference. Pick up 2 or 3, and you can say, hey, that's an improvement in SEC play. But still, a very tough season for the Gamecocks and the interim head coach, Monty Lee. But maybe they can have a good weekend against Kentucky and pick up their second SEC series win of the season. Kevin?
Yeah, and for the third straight Tuesday, we had an all-low country matchup here in Charleston last night as Charleston Southern made the trip down the road to take on the College of Charleston. And for the third straight time, CSU comes out on the losing end as they fall to the College of Charleston. Final on that one was 7-5 last night. Dylan Johnson had 4 hits for the College of Charleston, knocking in a couple of runs. Will Tippett hit a 397-foot homer. Also got an RBI triple from Nick Diaz. The big thing for the College of Charleston, they have now won 9 out of their last 10 games. And this victory puts them at 500 for the season, which they have been fighting tooth and claw to get to over the last few weeks. They're now at 20-20 on the season. CSU drops down to 22-16. CSU going on the road this weekend for a 3-game set in conference, while the College of Charleston will be back at Patriots Point for 3 more games this weekend. We're going to be right back here on the other end of this break here on Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. It is playoff season for the PD Ice Cats in their inaugural season, and they have made it to round 2 of the playoffs in the Federal Prospects Hockey League, which I have learned all about this year. There are 2 divisions. You've got Continental, where the Ice Cats are, and then you've got Empire. Now, the Ice Cats are getting ready tonight to play the Columbus River Dragons after they beat the Athens Rock Lobsters last week in back-to-back games to win that series. I had the chance to catch up with Nick Graham, the director of hockey operations, this morning about what it's been like just being a part of this team in their very first year, getting to see, people coming out and supporting this team, especially after the PD Pride left, about 2 decades ago. So there hadn't been a hockey team to support in quite a while. And here's what Graham had to say about their fans.
It's been everything, honestly. It's been kind of overwhelming at times. Like last weekend on game 2 against Athens here, the crowd that we had on a short notice game was the loudest crowd we've had all year. And the boys couldn't quit talking about it. We still can't quit talking about it. So without the community involvement and community support, we couldn't be here. We couldn't do what we want to do. We couldn't be pushing for a cup run like we are. It's literally everything with this team. Without people doing what they're doing, there's no way the Ice Cats exist.
Now, there is a chance that tonight could be their very last home game for the Ice Cats because it's a best of 3. So if Columbus does win tonight and then the game goes to Columbus tomorrow and the River Dragons take that one, this could be the last one. However, of course, the Ice Cats and all their fans are hoping that is not the case because they want to advance to the Cup Finals. And how cool would it be, guys, if they win in their inaugural season? They would, however, probably have to get past the Binghamton Bearcats, who who are on the other side of this bracket who have won the Cup the last 2 years. Puck drop is at 7:15. I've actually got to drive to Florence for this one, but I'm going to let you guys keep talking about hockey. Kevin, I know that you're going to take it away from here, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
All right, drive safe, Tegan. Now, we got playoff hockey coming up here in the Low Country starting Friday, as well as the South Carolina Stingrays kick off a best-of-7 series in the first round of the Kelly Cup playoffs when they take on the Atlanta Gladiators. Now, for the Stingrays, it's been a much different regular season this year than last season was. Last year, they rolled through the regular season, had the most points in the entire league, then got to the playoffs and got upset in the first round. And the team had kind of said, they didn't really have any adversity in the regular season last year. So when they got punched in the mouth early on in that first round series last year, they weren't really ready for what was going to happen and what they had to do to come back from that. This year, it's been a little bit different. They've had a bunch of ups and downs. They've had a lot of players on the injured list, a lot of players going up to Hershey of the AHL, the Capitals affiliate there in the AHL. So they've got way more experience dealing with adversity this year, and head coach David Warsofsky talked to us about that yesterday and just how the regular season went as they get ready to kick off the postseason.
I thought it was good. Our goal all along was to get better each day, get it better each week, each month. And I thought we did that. I think from our team at the beginning of the season in October, we're a better team now than we were. So, I talked about keep climbing the mountain, and I think as we get to the top, we're improving. So that's good to see. We're playing good hockey as we're heading into the playoffs, and, that's where you want to be at this point.
Warsofsky, of course, is the brother of Ryan Warsofsky, the former South Carolina Stingrays head coach, who's now the head coach in the NHL of the San Jose Sharks. And as I mentioned, that it's a best-of-7 series against Atlanta. Atlanta's the team the Stingrays won the season series against earlier on this season. So they have home ice advantage after winning a couple of games late in the regular season last weekend. So things kind of lining up pretty well for the Stingrays going on right now, Ella.
Well, I'm glad to hear that things are going well over there. Unfortunately, here in the upstate, things are not looking as great for our minor league hockey teams. The Swamp Rabbits just missed the cutoff. They were in a situation where if they would have won, they would have been in, but unfortunately, they fell in overtime. So not going to be experiencing the playoffs for hockey over here in the upstate, but excited to see how things go for you guys down there. We're going to send this one to break. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We're definitely in golf season here in the Palmetto State. We just had the Masters in Augusta last week, the Heritage on Hilton Head Island. And here in the Midlands in May, we're going to have a Corn Ferry Tour event. It's the Colonial Life Classic Charity Tournament. And it's going to be held at the Wood Creek Club, which is on the outskirts of Columbia. It's actually in Elgin. And they had a media day today. The tournament starts on May 14th. The guy with his back to us there is Ian Holt. He's grew up in Ohio, but now he lives in Mount Pleasant. And he leads the Corn Ferry Tour point standings. He has 2 wins this year. And if he gets a 3rd win, then he gets his PGA Tour card. And another guy who was there visiting with us today is Bryson Nemmer, probably a name that's familiar to some of the golf fans out there. He's the guy in the middle there, and he played his collegiate golf at Clemson. And last year, he was on the verge of quitting professional golf. Things weren't going well for him. He got a win, and so now his whole attitude has changed, and he's looking forward to playing a tournament here in his home state because he's from Bluffton. Here's Bryson Nemmer sharing some of his thoughts about how tough it is to make it in professional golf. How challenging has it been for you as you pursue your dream of making it to the PGA Tour?
It's this sport very challenging. It's very cutthroat. It's just kind of the way it always has been. But it's just one of those games where you got to keep working. You're going to have a lot of failures, and just try your best every single time. And I feel like, the game's come a long way. I've had some successes in the last couple of years, and just keep working at it, and good things coming.
What were some of the biggest obstacles for you?
Definitely just, getting comfortable. I think, every level you go up in the game gets harder, and you got to be more comfortable with the atmospheres. So for me, just getting comfortable traveling, doing the week-to-week that we do, and getting comfortable being a part of a tour like Corn Ferry. So finally kind of feel like I'm at that point, which is great.
Yeah, the Corn Ferry Tour is the main feeder tour for the PGA Tour, so it's kind of like AAA baseball to the major leagues. And one thing they tell us, folks who may not be familiar with the Corn Ferry Tour, they'll be surprised at the level of play that they're going to see. So very exciting time here in the Midlands, May 14th, when the Corn Ferry Tour tees off.
Yeah, Rick, it is such an exciting time. I love getting to go to those tournaments where these are just guys who have been knocking at the door and want to bust through it. I mean, Bryson is one of them. I mean, I remember hearing his name here in South Carolina around the Clemson area. He's a 4-time first-team All-American for Clemson. He's just the third Clemson Tiger to ever do that. I mean, we're looking at a guy, Jacob Bridgman, who was just in the Masters, who's not even on that list. So to see Bryson kind of finally knocking on the door and not throwing in the towel, Rick, like you had mentioned, where he was so close to doing that. I'm glad he's finally there and competing in this one.
Yeah, it's really great to see him make that comeback. And we've had so many great golfers here in the Palmetto State. I think the level of talent here is underrated when you have guys like Lucas Glover, Dustin Johnson, guys who have won major tournaments. And so maybe Bryson Nemmer, he can make the PGA Tour, and before too long we'll be covering him in the Masters. So May 14th, that's when the Colonial Life Charity Classic will tee off. So make the journey here and see some future PGA stars up on the come up. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. Have a good rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.